Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you are. This is Lillian Ogbogo, and we're coming with an extra show. Yes, we have some really special guests that we cannot not have on the show. So join me and welcome Andrew Wamae. Now, he is the co-founder of the Essential School of Painting, which is an alternative art school based in London. But also, he's a finalist of the Black British Business Awards, that's been running for 5 years. And he's one of the finalists in the art category. And you know, when I read this man's profile, I said, we have to get him on the show. We have to talk about art. We have to talk about how he transitioned from the corporate world to the art world and all things in between. So join me and welcome my incredible guest. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Lily. Hi. Fantastic actually being with you today. And thank you so much for taking this interview. And and well done in your program. And I've listened to it. It's quite nice, actually.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, just slight thing is the category is actually for the Black British Business Awards. It's Entrepreneur Senior Leader of the Year.
Apologies.
Yeah, not at all. That's just what it is. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk.
All right. So actually, since we opened up there, let's talk about being nominated and becoming a finalist for Entrepreneur Senior Leader of the Year. How did that come about?
Oh well, it started with me being nominated sometime early this year by one person who's part of my board, a gentleman by the name of Andrew Silverman. Andrew Silverman used to be an advisor of a major Labour political leader and works on my board. And he turned around one day when we were sitting in a pub quite near the school and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to nominate you for this awards." And I was, both pleasantly surprised and intrigued. And then it went on from there where he sent in my details to the award people, and then from there I was called in. They read up. I had to get some referees, so I got about five different people to reference me, and then to send to them. They had to look at it, and after a while, I got called in for shortlisting, and went through some intense interviews, which then led to me then being one of 3 finalists for this award thing. Okay. So yeah.
All right, so let's talk about your background because, we're talking about the award ceremony, being a finalist, being picked, but we're also looking at the fact that you are the co-founder of the Essential School of Painting, which is known as the ESOP. How did that come about?
My background, let's see. Okay, so where should I start from? Okay, first of all, I'm Kenyan by descent, and I moved into the United Kingdom back in 2000, actually in December of 99. So I came over just when they had the Millennium Parties and the whole Millennium Bag thing.
Right.
My background is I've worked as a lawyer, and then I worked with the banks. I'm fortunate to be married to a very lovely lady who is a very good artist by the name of Alison Harper.
Okay.
And one fine afternoon, she came home and we had a talk about art and the demise of how art is taught in terms of drawing and painting. And we decided, why don't we do something about it? And started an art school in 2004. And so in 2004 is when we started the Essential School of Painting. It was a class. We used to have a class like once every month or once every 3 months. And then in 2012, I left the banks and joined the school full time.
Okay.
And we've just grown from there. So now we have 6 classes. We work 6 days a week. We've got year-long programs, short programs. Faculty of about 23 artists who teach with us and staff and all that. So there we are. And that's what then intrigued the B.B.B Awards, because when Andrew Silverman introduced me, I understand they've not had somebody like me before. And so that's what got them going. And we started having that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about art. And you're talking about the one of the ethos of the school is about the way art is taught, so that it's not the art of drawing and painting is not lost to theory.
Yes.
Why was that important?
Well, the thing is, with art, I'm a passionate person. I've always been in love with art and everything to do with art and passionate. And my wife, like I said, was an artist. We realized that in art schools, what is happening is the amount of time students were spending lesser with their tutor was lessening. So if you consider what was going on back in the 1980s, regardless of which particular art school it was and what's happening today, back in the 80s, you'd have less than an art teacher for 1 in 7 or 1 in 12 students. Today, you can have 1 in 40. And I've had students come from other art school, eminent art schools, come to us and talk about how they have only seen their tutor for 20 minutes in the last 1 month or even less sometimes.
Wow.
And so this is what it is. Also, art schools have become, with the university fees have come in, they've become quite expensive. I mean, doing a BA in arts will cost you $9,000. Doing a master's will cost you about £12,000. And let's not talk about going to PhD level, which is plus 80,000. So I thought, why don't we talk about how do we teach art and how do we also make it affordable and yet give very high quality teaching? So that's been our main concern. In terms of the ethos of what we are, we're about practicality, teaching art practically. It's not that we don't do theory, but we don't emphasize on theory. We emphasize more on the craft itself. So whether it's painting or drawing or printmaking or working with, collages or multimedia, it's about the craft itself. And the question we ask ourselves is, why are you an artist and why should anybody care about you being an artist? So there we are, so my emphasis and my emphasis through my team is we're here to teach people to be artists. And the fallout of that has been then we have people who have been in the professional world coming in and doing mentorships with us, doing classes with us. We have people flying in from abroad to come and do classes with us. In fact, we've just done one who's come in from Paris and she's gone back and qualified for one of the calls out there. So they come in and do specialized courses. We have beginner courses. So we've got all kinds of stuff. We're teaching art teachers even now. So there we are.
Okay. So you know what? And I think that's actually quite good because you're creating a school that makes art inclusive and affordable.
And community, yeah.
Exactly. And one of the things that, when we talk about art, especially from the Black community, there's this idea that art is not for us. It's for others. Where do you stand on this?
That's a very interesting thing. And there's so many anecdotal stories I could tell you about that. My stand is, I'll take a step back and then say, my stand of art is about yourselves culturally, about who you are as a person. It's about your creativity. It is nothing to do with community, race, religious belief, nothing. It's about who are we as human beings? Right. What is our story? So if you go back, let's say, into history, go 300,000 years, you go into the caves, you find cave drawings. They were not concerned about whether I'm an African or European or Neanderthal. They were like, this is who I am, and this is what I do in my daily life, and this is my religion. So art for me comes from that position where you talk about yourself. What is your story? You own your cultural story. So now, in the Black community, yes, you're right. There has been a belief, and I put that in quotes, that art is not for us. But I think it's predominantly that thinking probably might be in the West, because I know when you go into Africa, which is where you find people like Picasso cross-reference their work with Africa.
Yes.
There has been thriving art scene for years. You look at Mansa Musa's kingdom in Mali. Look at Benin art. Today, look at contemporary Kenyan East African art or South African art or North African art. It is booming out there. What's happening is the conversation, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is not being heard. And when I say not being heard, I mean both in terms of being spoken about and people listening it and believing that, yes, we have an art scene and we have an art philosophy that we ought to be proud of. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly.
Then it comes to where we are. Say, for example, in Britain. So in art schools here, let's say you go to primary school, you'll probably end up seeing a lot of European art. And being just like any other person, if you're Black or Asian, you then start thinking, then where's my art? Well, your art actually does exist. It's just that maybe it's not being spoken out. We've got about 3 or 4 Royal Academicians. We've got people like Yinka Shonabare, who's a fantastic artist. And we've got people like in America, like Kahinde, who's an amazing artist. Go to Geshimutu. I mean, you can name them, but they're not spoken of. And when they're not spoken of, you're not told, this is this guy's person and this is his background. You know what I mean? Exactly. We may have something on Black history, which is for 1 month. And please don't get me going down that path. I have a lot of respect for it. I totally understand it. But why do we have to have a month? I think we should have it going on all year round. We should have a lot more documentaries done about artists from all walks of life. After all, in Britain, our culture is not based on being white or black or Asian necessarily. We talk about being British, isn't it?
Yes.
And that name goes across all bands. So when they do documentary, let's have everybody being sure. Now, don't get me wrong, I like affirmative action, but I'm not proposing affirmative action. I'm proposing knowledge, narrative, talk. Let's talk about these things. Well, like when I got approached to talk to you, I like your name. Shout out loud, it's amazing. It's
Shine
like
out loud, yes.
Shine out loud. It's amazing. Yeah, that's what it is. Let's put our lamp out there and shine for people and tell people this is our story. This is who I am. Going back to that prehistoric drawing. You see what I mean? So, black art exists. Black art has been thriving. Black art needs to be talked a lot more about. And people need to know that, yes, we are here, we are there. Just like we know it in black music, in terms of jazz. We know
Yes.
Elvis Presley never been who he was if he didn't go to those jazz pubs or those taverns he used to go into. We know that
Exactly.
as a fact. Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Look at what happened with hip-hop culture. Everybody came up with hip-hop culture, and look at it, it dominates the music scene today.
Yes.
I think art, you could say the art is the last bastion and all that. But you know what? It's not that we've not been there. We just need to talk more about it. I'm an owner of an art school. I'm an art director. I'm the founder of it. That's what I'm trying to do also. Now, I don't go out there banging away and saying, oh, yeah, I'm a black director of an art school. Hey, I'm more like, I'm an art director. I happen to be African. My name is Andrew Wamae. And we produce fantastic work. And here's our story. We need to do a lot more about that, you see. And if we do that, if we tell our story right, if we make people know our histories, hey, guess what will happen? It will be everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah?
I absolutely agree with you. And I think there is also
Yeah.
a need to, when you say talk about it, there's a need to celebrate. Yes, because you rightly pointed out that being in the West, we are less talked about when we comes to the art scene. The fact is, we know that the bronze head of Benin sits in the British Museum, but
Right.
and the other day there was talks of it being loaned to Africa, loaned to Nigeria, and people are like, "Wait, you can't loan it. It's not yours. It's ours."
Lillian, you're being very naughty. You're gonna get me going political here, isn't it?
I'm like, you can't loan us.
I'm trying to be the good, hey, let's do it. But, don't get me started. There's nothing about loaning you. Look, I'm going to accept the argument that, yes, the British Museum is a good place to have the Benin heads and the African masks of West Central Africa and all that. I'll accept that in terms of, yes, okay, for the time being, yes, you are the custodians of it. And that's the word. You are the custodian.
Yes.
Nobody per se owns art.
No.
If you think about it this way, art, like I said, is a story. So you don't own art. Once the artist puts it out in the world, it's for the world. Yes, there is a copyright issues and all that, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm just trying to talk about ownership of art.
Yes.
You can't say the British Museum owns the Benin heads, just like they don't own the marble things from the pantheons in Athens.
No.
They're custodians of it. So when you say you're going to loan, it's a bit, shall I just say, insulting. It should be more like, right, we're going to send it back to you so that you can be able to talk about it. But could you mind just sending it back to us? And
so that
then
we can keep
yeah.
it safe,
No, not even just keep it safe. Keep it here, and then we'll help you get it back one day by helping you build up your establishments. See, like, for example, I'll give you let's think I'm trying to do in Kenya. I'm thinking of setting up a national gallery, and I'm talking to some guys out there.
Wow.
And there's a lot of art out there. So what you find is that in people's houses, there's a lot of art going around, but there needs to be a need for a collection of art brought together.
Yes.
Right? And when I talk to people out there, they are, okay, this is my collection. But when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to put it out there. I would love people to talk about it. So South Africa has just built this fantastic national gallery, So why can't the British Museum send something like, say, look, hi guys, why don't you keep it there for a while? It's because of this ownership question, right? And I'm against that. particularly this kind of world heritage kind of art.
Exactly.
So there you are.
It's almost, when you look at that and look at that language and sometimes how they treat the art, you're almost tempted to go, okay, so if I walked in and take one of your stuff, we won't say which, but let's just say, for example, we'll take the bones of one of your late kings and go and display it in our museum. How would you feel about that? How would it will be considered sacrilege and not done. But you know what? Let's transition away from that because I'm trying to keep you good today.
Exactly. I was thinking, maybe we need to sit down and talk more.
I'll be on my best behavior today.
No,
but we will talk about art and the fact that art is changing and art is really an elixir of stories. So
yes.
One of the things that I'm looking at when you look at the art, what art has influenced you the most?
Oh wow, well that's such a massive question. Let me okay, I would say let's start this way. I've always had art around me. I've always drawn and all this, but my first my master is Caravaggio.
Okay.
I just loved Caravaggio, and when I was in university, I studied in the University of Baroda in India. My housemates were actually artists, and one of them was a gentleman called Shibu Nathan Sen, and he did this study on Caravaggio. And let me tell you, it's an amazing thing when you have a creative, in my humble opinion, a creative genius with you, because in his humble way, he actually taught me how to look at art. So he taught me about tone, he taught me about light and shade and color, warm and cold colors and all that. And Caravaggio is a master of light and shadows. And then there's, so that's how I started. And then I came across later people, artists like Wangeshi Mutu, who I was surprised. She's a Kenyan artist, eminently renowned in the United States, not very well known in Kenya at the time I was talking to her. And she does a lot of like collage work and all that and films. And I was like amazed, like, wow, here's somebody telling my story. Yeah.
Yes.
In a world that I consider to be very elitist. So she became an influence in the way I look at things. In fact, she was the artist of the year for our school. I think in 2014, she was artist of the year. And then you have people like Kahinde Wiley. Kahinde Wiley to me is a magician. This is a gentleman who looks at masters and then he puts African features or African models into his work. And he re-questions us to look at art again. He's done these pictures of, let's say, like Napoleon a horseback, put an artist there, put a hip-hop star, and it makes you rethink, like, wow, actually, yeah, what's our story in all this scenario? You got people like Paul Elegart, who to me is he's known, but he's an uncelebrated artist in my humble opinion.
Okay.
He's amazing, and the way he presents his figures, the juxtapositions with the background, so yeah, as you can hear, I've got so many people. My own wife herself, Alison Harper, she's an amazing artist and teacher. You're living with somebody who talks art, breathes art, and all that. You see what I mean? So that in itself also gets you going. I've got friends like Eileen Cooper, who's an amazing artist in terms of the way she looks at work, in her creativity, the way her mind works. I can go on and on. But yeah, if somebody was to ask you, say, a question like, okay, where should I start? Okay, you've said this, and okay, but what about me as a layperson? Where should I start? I'll say one of two things. One, just start drawing. Don't worry about what you're doing. Don't worry about what do people think. It's about you anyway. So just start drawing. Just pick up a drawing pad and start drawing. Draw, and then paint watercolors. Get some oil paints. Get yourself to beginner's class. That's the first thing I would say. Secondly, go to the galleries. Walk in them. Look at art. Just do it. They don't belong to anybody. It's free entry. Just go there, sit down. We've got in London, for example, in other cities in the world, there must be art galleries which are open to the public. And even if they're even if they're not, you have to pay. It's worth the investment. Just go there, immerse yourself, spend the day there. If you happen to be, let's say, a parent and your kids, go with them. Just sit there. Let them just hang around. And kids are amazing what they'll tell you and point out to you. And believe me, if you just do that for 21 days in terms across the year, you start having a change when you go in the visit in the gallery. So those are two things I would say you do. And if you're fortunate enough, like me, to have artists who you can talk to, And I can tell you one thing, most artists are quite friendly and they're quite willing to talk their work. That's my personal experience. If you walk up to an artist and start having a conversation with them, so long as you're not interfering with their work and you're kind of curious about, they'll tell you what they're about. They'll say, yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. And, get that going, get that interest in you. And soon enough, yeah, you'll be on your way.
Okay.
That's what I would say. And my personal belief is we're all creative creatures. There is nobody who's not creative. It's just about being confident enough to say, I've got a little story that I want to tell and telling it. Yeah, I can go on and on. Yeah, but there we are. Yeah.
I can tell that your influences are varied and many, and we could just talk on that alone.
Yeah,
But we're also looking at art as well as a business, and art as, you mentioned about galleries, you mentioned about us going to look. But when we think about art, should we also... And I'm going to pull it back to the community because I know you serve all. But do you think us as a community should start looking at investing and owning art for ourselves?
Oh, my God, yes. Every artist, I'll tell you, most of the artists I work with, the first thing they tell me is, buy my art. That's what supports me. 100%. Let's look at it from two positions. Art as a business, like you said, and art as a community. And where do I stand as a person, as a punter, as a buyer, an observer and appreciator of arts? Let's see. First is for our community, and I'm going to say that, I'm going to say, like, when I say the community, I mean the Black and Asian communities.
Yes.
We need to buy our own art. Definitely. We need to find ways to support each other and buy our own art. So you can either Google it up, read about artists. All the information is there. If I go into the computer now, I can find it. Just key in Black artists in London or Black artists in whichever city you happen to be in, Johannesburg. You will find them and then buy. And if you can't buy, go to the artist and see where they can make a deal. Come on, we all make deals. I bought artwork to the artist. Listen, I can't afford to buy your art in one go. Could I pay in installments? Have that conversation. So when you come to buying, think of it the same way you buy something that you love, like a dress you'd love to buy or a jacket you'd love to buy. The difference is, though, with art is also art can be an investment. It's one of those few things where you can buy and put on your wall and later on you can sell it. So you can think a bit about it that way. So not just as art as decoration, but as art as an investment. Art as a community. Artists live in communities, their buyers live in communities.
Yes.
I've already talked about how Black art has always existed. Go to the places where artists exist, and I can guarantee you will find somebody of the Black community painting somewhere. And from that one person, you'll be able to connect with others. By even just ask the most straightforward, maybe un-PC question. Hey, where can I find other Black artists like you? And they go, oh, yeah, so-and-so, yeah, come and hang out with us, and I'll introduce you some more. Do you see what I mean? That's the way community builds up is. Art as a business is difficult. From my end, I'm in London, and it's one of the most aggressive business cities in the world. So art as a business is hard. If you want to work in art as a business, I would say, first of all, it has to come from a position of love, not for money. I'll be honest with you. If you're going to come to art thinking I'm going to make $1 million, I'm not saying you can't make $1 million, don't get me wrong, or more. I'm just saying it's not the kind of business I would say you're going to come in thinking I'm going to make cash. You know what I mean? Because you have to be a bit patient when you're building up an art business, whether you're building up a gallery, because you need to build up a collection of art. You need to build up a network of people, a network of buyers, a network of sponsors and supporters and artists. So you're going to have to be patient with that from a gallery position. From a school position, you have to be quite clear on what you're trying to do. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
You can't just say, I'm going to open up a school. And then, we've been at it from 2004. We are quite skilled at what we do. And yet it is hard. It's an everyday grind. I probably put in 14 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week on what I do. I'm fortunate because I'm self-employed and I'm my own company, so I can work whatever times I want.
Of course.
So I have enough family time. But it's something you have to live and breathe. You see what I mean? When it's a business. So you're better, I would say, I'm not discouraging anybody. And believe me, I love business and I want people to do business. But this is one of those businesses you have to think clearly about what you're doing. When I left the bank, I had a drastic fall in income. And you have to go through those hairy moments, you see, just like in any other business. And also, be quite clear that failing doesn't mean you failed. Failing just means you need to learn. You see,
Yes.
Every day you make mistakes, and every day you you fail and you learn and you keep going. So you got to have that. And believe in what you're doing. Black businesses exist. There are lots of black businesses. I mean, let's take away the obvious. The whole of Africa is a black business. Obviously.
Exactly. Yes.
The whole of the Caribbean, a lot of it is black business. The whole of Asia is Asian business. So we're now talking in terms of the West. In the West, black businesses are everywhere, and some really, really hot rod businesses. I mean, if you look at the Black British Business Awards, just going in there and looking at the finalists, these are highly creative, highly motivated, highly passionate, successful people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, get in touch with them. You know, the reason they've also been forwarded is because these are people who want to talk about what they do. They're willing to talk to people. Get in touch with them. Don't fear. I mean, if anybody wrote to me, I'm not going to say, like, bugger off and I'm too busy. If I'm busy, I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm busy, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to you.
Of course.
You see, what I'll also ask is, ask the questions you really want to ask. Don't come and say, can you give me funding? That doesn't work, because they're also trying to figure out, how do I get funding? So you might not get the response you want, but ask the question you really want. How do I go about this?
Yes.
Who do I need to speak to? What does this mean? Those kind of questions. Ask the questions remember I talked about art is your personal narrative. It's just a narrative about your life. So what are the true questions you want to ask? Ask those questions. Let's ask each other those questions. And the more we talk, the bigger we get. And the bigger the community gets, the more black businesses will come up. The more black businesses come up, the more art gets bought, the more our story gets told.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the amazing thing about black art right now. There seem to be a lot of people who are putting forward that conversation that you're saying that we need to have. In the recent times, I've interviewed a couple of people who are involved in black art. One is Anam Boyonyo, and she has the Black British female collective in the UK. There is Alice Bellier, and she does Ayoka, which is a platform for black artists. And what the platform does is bring in other artists and sell their work, and which I think is really amazing. And that's just to mention a few.
Yes.
So when we're looking at, the black art as, art as a business and an investment, there's even something about, pulling resources together to actually buy investment art that can be sold on and recouping your money. So that is something that we need to look at, and we need more conversations around that. But let's go back to the school, because the other thing around the school is the affordability and making it less of it seems from your website and your information is less of an elitist place, but more of a place for people to come in and build a community of artists. So what is the underlying drive for that?
Community. I love the whole aspect of community. You're right. Remember I said in the beginning, art was a narrative that people told about themselves.
Yes.
For me, what the school represents, the school, yes, it is a school, but the school is actually more of a hub. It is, or as one person said, Andrew, it's an excuse for all of us to get together and talk art, build art, create art. But for me, it's a hub. We have the school, and just like in every community where people come together and they teach each other, and it's a forum. And then from off the back of that, we got artists who are going and doing to the studios. We got artists going to gallery shows. We got soirees and conversations being had. So the feeling behind, apart from the financial aspect which I talked about, which is expensive, getting an art education nowadays, and the demise of art being taught in art schools, my driving motivator, what makes me wake up every day, is communities. Seeing these people, we've got 84 students who are going to be studying with us this new academic year, all year round. But we've got a further outreach of people who come in and out, do short courses, and they all form a community. Then they go off and form friendships. They have the WhatsApp groups and all that, and they continue doing this conversation. So that's what I love seeing. I also love seeing creativity actually come to its fruition. So you find somebody coming in and they start this project, and they're trying to find it out. Then when we have an annual exhibition, they present it, and it's amazing. So that's what drives me. It's a development of the mind in terms of who am I as a human being and who am I as a creative being. So myself, I would love to spend a lot more time painting and drawing, but my masterpiece is the school, you see what I mean? And how we
Yes.
develop that. And so that's what I would say. It's critical that for anybody wanting to do this, to ignore the naysayers, because you'll have a lot of them. I mean, I have them, even some of them today. You got to kind of, when you say, okay, I'm thinking of building a community, people will be like, who the hell do you think you are? What do you mean you're building a community? Or are you saying we're not a community? Or, what do you mean by that? Do you think we're a community enough? No, that's not the question. The question is cohesion. Are we talking to each other? Are we aware about the deeper stories of each other? And one of the things I like about art, just talking of this community thing, is when you face a white canvas, you can't lie. That white canvas, every mark is your personal mark. You can't fib, you can't blab, you cannot pretend. Every mark says everything. So when you get frustrated, it appears there. When you do something you think it's bad, somebody else will come and say, no, actually, it's not that bad. You just need to do it this way. So you know what I mean? So it's about conversation. You see what I mean? Yes. You can't lie to yourself, and people watching you can't be lied to, because it's all there. It's on the white canvas. If you build it, let's say you're doing a sculpture work on limestone or marble, if you're frustrated and you hit the chisel too hard, you break it. The marble will just break, and it tells you, listen, mate, what are you trying to do? You've got to be nice to yourself, and you've got to be nice to the work, and you've got to believe and be gentle with yourself in a way when you're being creative, and you've got to be honest. Any writer, one of the things I admire about writers is the great courage they have, real good artists, great courage they have to write and tell people and expose themselves. This is who I am. And off the back of that, you'll always get people saying, oh, what nonsense. There'll always be critics. You've got to be able to understand critics are critics. And they're giving me their opinion. But this is my honest conversation. And I'm not necessarily the best in the world, but hey, there's nobody like me. Now, it sounds all psychobabble, but actually it's true. It really is true. Yeah. Okay. So that's what wakes me up in the morning. Yeah.
All right. So when we look at art and we look at the business, and in fact, I'm going to park that question and kind of spin this, because you mentioned this about failure. How do you personally bounce back from failure?
Wow. Lillian, you're really good at this. I have had personal battles with myself. And I hope your audience forgives me for this. I'm just going to go a bit on a spin here, because I really would like to explain this.
Okay.
We all understand failure.
Yes. But
for me, the failure is actually greatest from my own self-critic, or what I call him, my own saboteur. The first position of failure is procrastination, then fear, and then not believing. Those are things that generate my feelings of inadequacy, and that leads on to almost sabotaging myself into failure.
Wow.
So for me to come off that, I have to look at myself critically. Do you remember the song by Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror?
Yes.
Yeah. He basically asks you to look honestly at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what can you do? So I kind of do that. Now, don't get me wrong. It's practice at this that will eventually get you to where you want to go. The first thing I decided to do is flip the coin and say, you know what? I love failure. Failure is not failing. Failure is just knowing that I don't know.
Okay.
And so I need to find out. 2, failure is also a way of telling me you need to get some help. So go out and get it. Failure for me is also questioning me, am I on the right path? That's what failure is. Failure is not you're rubbish, you're worthless, as the many people in the world would love to tell you. No, failure is just saying, find out more about yourself. And then don't do it like, okay, I want to be Picasso. No. Don't try and be Picasso. Just try and be Lillian. Just try and be Andrew. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
There'll always be the David Beckhams and the Ronaldos, and there'll also be the Lillians and the Andrews.
Yes.
The David Beckhams and the Ronaldos and the Picassos cannot exist without us. Do you see what I mean? Everybody has their story. So you've got to believe that I have something to contribute. My own little bushel, as they say in that famous poem, Desiderata. Let my lamp shine. Remember also Martin Luther's speech, I have a dream.
Yes.
Think about these people. These people like Martin Luther. You talk about failure. Can you imagine what such a person had to go through? Can you imagine what a Mandela had to go through? These are titans. Okay, I agree.
Yes.
But we all have our own battles with failure. But don't see it failure as I am worthless. See failure as search for knowledge. So when I fail, and believe me, I fail every day. Every day I have a failing. Every day I have something that crops me up. But the difference is my mindset. I look at it and go like, you know what? I just need to learn this. And sometimes I need to let it go. I don't have to be the best at everything.
Yes.
So sometimes just let it go. Lillian, you're a fantastic interviewer. I mean,
Thank
look at
you.
the way you've got me talking. But I can't be Lillian. You see, I'm not going to strive to be Lillian. I strive to be Andrew.
Yes.
I strive to be the best Andrew I can be. You see, and so in some worlds, Andrew is not the shining star. In other worlds, hey, I'm the titan there. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's all you got to figure out. And when you're and there's this poem called Eve, which is written by Rudyard Kipling, who, yes, I agree is a colonialist, racist, and all that. Let's forget about all that. Let's just think about what the poem says. If I can if I can be able to work with common people and kings, then I'll be a man. And I'm not talking about gender, but basically what he's trying to say is be yourself.
Yes.
Don't let the highs and lows dictate who you are. So that's what I can do. Also, we talked earlier on about psychobabble. I mentioned psychobabble. A lot of the psychobabble cliche phrases that people say, people dismiss them, but actually, they have truths behind them. And so when you hear somebody say, you can be the best that you can be, don't think it's psychobabble. Actually believe it. When somebody comes and says, you're great, take a moment and actually believe it. To me, that was the biggest feeling I had, was being able to listen to people praise me and think, I am that. But then after time, I said, no, they must be right. And now today, I actually able to take praise. But in the same hand, I'm also able to take criticism and assess whose criticism is constructive. If you don't feel criticism is the right thing, ask somebody else. You can always get a second opinion. But remember, they're all opinions also. Do you see what I mean? The most important thing is that person looking at you from the mirror when you stand in front of your own mirror. That's the most important. What does that person say? And then you are aware of your own saboteur. What does that saboteur in yourself tells you? That voice that says, come on. Come on, Andrew. Really? You think you can do this?
The saboteur is often very strong, but yes.
Exactly. But you know what I do? I just ask a simple question. Well, is that true then? Or you say I'm rubbish about it. Is that true? Right. Show me the evidence. And yes, your own saboteur will step back and go like, okay, right, all right. But then sometimes it could be the truth angel telling you, listen, mate, you got to slow down here or you're down the wrong path. Mm-hmm. And let me finish with this last psychobabble phrase. When I was working in the bank, one thing about working in the banks is the banks can afford to bring in specialists. And one day they brought in a member of the British Olympic gold medal team that won in the rowing team. And he was asked the same question. And his response is a beauty, and I'm going to give it out to your audience. All the British team ask themselves every day is, does this make the boat go faster? So if somebody came and gave an opinion, they'd ask themselves, does this make the boat go faster? If it doesn't make the boat go faster, they drop it. If it does, they take it on. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
It's a neat little tool. Does this make the boat go faster? You get all people coming and saying, hey, you need to eat this kind of protein, hoi, hoi, hoi. And you say, really? Does that make me any stronger and that makes the boat go faster? No, it doesn't. It makes me, add weight. That doesn't make the boat go faster. So you drop it. Mm-hmm. Somebody else may come and say, listen, you need to sleep under an oxygen tent every day for your healing purposes. And yes, it might work. Does it make the boat go faster? You see what I mean? So that's what I'll leave your audience with, yeah. Okay. Does it make the boat go faster?
I like the idea of does it make the boat go faster being our key tip for this, for bouncing back from failures, taking on the critics, understanding what they're saying, because a critic is a critic, facing your saboteur and asking critical questions. And that question is, does it make the boat go faster? I absolutely will be using that.
Yeah.
So I'm just really in awe of this. And, we came together because of the Black Business Awards, British Business Awards that's happening. Just for clarity, when is it happening and where?
Well, it's going to be held here in London, St. Paul's. They've got a lovely hotel out there. And it's going to be on the 4th of October. It's going to be an amazing award. They have about 18 categories, I believe, and they're going to be bringing some of the most fantastic people together for this awards. It's kind of going to be like a dinner. And if I understand it rightly, it's going to be like kind of an Oscar awards kind of thing. So you've got all kinds of famous people there. And and all the press and red carpet and all that. It's only its 5th year, which tells you it's on a good track. I would say this much, and it's not because I'm a finalist. There's something like this is also some people, particularly we from the Black and Asian communities, and particularly the Black community, we need to support this because the founders of this award system have put themselves out there and said, we are worth it.
Yes.
And we're going to have this award, right? This award recognizes the most phenomenal individuals, dare I say, and I'm not considering myself phenomenal, but I'm just looking at my other people who were finalists, the most phenomenal individuals in the Black community that they can find. Now, joining the awards is, I think you can actually nominate yourself, but also it's also good to have friends. You nominate each other. Just send the names in, and what they'll do, they'll go through all the names. And I can tell you one thing for sure: they do look at every presentation they're given,
right?
And they will assess it, and they will then shortlist you and then you go up the ladder. One thing is for sure: even if, let's say, you put your name for it and doesn't, and you don't get selected, that doesn't mean you failed. It just means at this particular time you're not what we're looking for. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So for an award like this, particularly for the Black business community, it is very important that people understand the premise of the award. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's not to create a division, being Black, but to create a platform. Do you see what I mean? Do you remember earlier on we talked about Black art and Black artists?
Yes.
That's what they're doing. They're creating a platform.
A platform to showcase and put
to showcase. And off the back of that, we have this conversation. Exactly. So without the Black British Business Awards, I would not have been talking to you today, do you see?
This is true.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm really honored and grateful that I got to speak to you. And, I'm looking forward to coming and discovering more about the school. I consider myself one of those unique people who are challenged when it comes to art. I can't draw to save my life. I'm okay with that, but I can appreciate great work of art.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. And do come. We invite everybody to come. Have a look at our website, the Essential School of Painting. Look at what we do, start a conversation with us. But Lillian, absolutely do come over. We actually even in the process of moving studios, and we're going to be getting better studios in January. So
awesome.
We'll make a date around that time. Come and see where we're moving into. Yes,
fantastic. I will come and see, and we'll come and have another interview there. So that will be
brilliant.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm looking forward to that. And I know you're moving studios, but where is your studios currently?
Our studios, we're moving studios. We actually just moved into them now. We're doing the whole painter. We're in Wood Green now. Previously, we used to be in Bethnal Green, but now we're in Wood Green in London, which is kind of North London. Okay. And then in January, we have got purpose-built studios. We're going to be having some near between Wood Green and Tottenham, because we need to kind of expand. But there we are. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
fantastic.
What's next? What's coming next for the Essential School of Painting?
For the Essential School? Oh, wow. Right. So, next, I've got, like I mentioned earlier on, different projects we're doing. We're looking to start a scholarship program. And it's going to be a scholarship for people who want to be artists and who are artists. Okay. I'm keen on actually having people from Black and Asian community also applying for this, because earlier on you talked about that. So I'm actually very keen on doing this scholarship and bursary program, which runs for a year. So that's what's next week. So we're going to make a program which is going to be nationwide for anybody who wants to apply. We'll be asking people to send in their portfolios, sending them their conversation of why they want to be on the scholarship, what their art practice is about. And we're looking for 1 or 2 individuals per year who are really dedicated to their craft. There is no age limit, artists for everyone. That's one thing. We're also looking to work in back in East Africa. Okay. So like I said earlier on, setting up, I'm in the process of setting up a new art space and gallery space there with a very good friend of mine by the name of Peter Getty in a mall. So we're looking now to create an art space where artists can have this kind of similar kind of conversation. We will take British artists there, and we'll also try and bring East African artists here. We're in the process of thinking about that. We've got projects that we're thinking about doing in 2020 in Italy. There's a friend and colleague of mine that we're looking at seeing whether we can do an art fair somewhere in Italy in the mountains, kind of like expo. We're also looking at collaborations and partnerships. We're working with Freelance Foundation at the moment, who are an amazing foundation who have looked at the art scene, and they're trying to have the similar kind of conversation of what I've talked about, where they've invited us to send in one of our students. We're one of 8 art schools, and they've got 6 eminent art schools, and then they've got 2 independent art schools, ourselves and TAPS, and they've asked us to send in an artist. So we've sent in an artist who is a Nigerian artist who's brilliant, by the name of Joshua. And what they go about is they look at they'll promote all these art schools. They will talk about these art schools. So those are the kind of things that we are doing. I'm also looking at trying to see how you also have to always think about where are you going forward. So I'm thinking about things like digital. What does the new age of media and new age of information and social media mean in the art world? So I'm looking for a way to be able to start some kind of course line on that. So I've let out some little secret there, what we're doing, but you know what I mean. But anybody who feels that they may want to have that conversation with me, great. I've got a personal love to be able to talk to graffiti artists. I think they're an area in the art world that is dynamic, street, and I sound so cliche, but I'm interested in looking at the way they think, the way their creativity. They're really they have to deal with a very different set of circumstances than people who are in studios. We're looking at doing projects with the local councils in terms of how do we reintegrate art into schools and all that, particularly with the kind of negative spiel that's come from certain eminent politicians where they question the value of art. There's so many eminent artists who are talking about that, and as a school, as a community, we'd like to get involved in that. We were recently involved in helping the Walthamstow Council win the London Mayor's Award, London Borough of Culture. And the Walthamstow Council is now the London Borough of Culture of 2019. So everybody should come to Walthamstow when they get time next year to have a see what goes on there. So we like getting involved in that kind of thing. And also we're looking for anybody who feels that they have an idea that can promote art, can make the boat go faster when it comes to art. So if you're out there and you've got ideas, feel free to write to us. We'll look at it. And if it gels with what we're doing, we'll definitely get in touch.
You have a lot coming up. So very simply, how can people find you, connect with you, come to the studios, but, online in the digital space, how can we find you?
Well, we're all over social media, to be honest. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Our website is www.TheESOP.com, which is TheESOP.com. Or if you just Google the Essential School of Painting, you'll find us on that. On all our sites, there's ways you can contact us. We're on our website. We've got our telephone numbers and emails. So there's that. We also do events. So if you subscribe to us, which you can do through the website, we will send you all our subscribers get all the information that we're doing in the school. So we'll definitely send you all the information. You can come down and see what we're about. We do open days. We're probably going to do an open day either in March or April for the next academic year. So yes, everybody come down, see our new studios and have an open day. We have things like art forums and art talks. We have soirees. We have end-of-year shows where all our student artwork is put out for people to see. We will normally hold, like next year, we'll be holding it in the Art Pavilion on Mile End Park, and that's going to be in July. So please come down and see that. We give all kinds of stuff. Drinks are on us, so don't worry about that. Just get yourself there. So there's a lot of stuff we do. And like I said, if you get in touch with us, we'll get in touch with you. That's awesome. What it is. In this world of information, it's difficult not to be found. Let's put it that way.
Oh, people try, but
yeah. I'm also on LinkedIn. So if somebody went on LinkedIn and keyed in Andrew Wamae, Wamae, they'll find me and connect. Let's connect. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And I am looking forward to actually coming down to the studio and coming down and meeting you and interviewing you again.
Yeah, fantastic. No, really, Lillian, this is amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for your audience for bearing with me and listening to me. That's an amazing, good chance to give me an opportunity to talk and to tell my story, and also to question myself onto my ideas and my philosophy. You're running a fantastic program. I really wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Get in touch with me anytime.
We'll
support you. And if you feel like there's an artist you'd like to connect to that we have access to, let me know. Fantastic.
I would.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers. All right. Bye.
So, folks, you've heard it here. We've just had this incredible conversation. We're bringing you a series of interviews celebrating the finalists of the Black British Business Awards for 2018. And I've just had one of them on the show today. I'm just so blown away. And if you want to discover more, go and look for The Essential School of Painting and Andrew Wamae. Discuss with this man. This man's an open book, and art is his life, as you can clearly see. So this is Lillian Bogo signing out. You know what to do.
You've been listening to the Shine Out Loud Show. If you want to connect with us or let us know what you thought of today's show, be sure to follow us on Twitter @Shine Out Show.